All right, so start off by telling me your full name.
Cecily Nordstrom. Do you need my middle name?
Yeah. Is it spelled like the store?
Yes.
Okay. And how old are you?
20.
Okay, and what gender do you choose to identify as?
Female.
And what's your race?
I'm white. I'm Caucasian. I don't know if Caucasian's a race.
What year in school are you?
Sophomore.
Okay. And what's your hometown?
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay. Cool. I have some family in Minnesota. What's your mom do for a living?
She is a small business owner.
Nice. And what about your dad?
Right now, I don't know the word for it, he tests for like asbestos and mold and stuff like that in homes. I don't know what it's called.
Okay.
Maybe like air
home
quality
construction inspection, maybe?
Yeah, like home inspection or something.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 older brothers.
Okay. And how old were you when your parents got a divorce?
16.
Okay. And were you religious growing up?
Not really. I mean, kind of.
Okay. And what would you say the importance is of religion to you now?
On a scale of 1 to 10, probably a 6.
Okay. And what about the importance of religion to your family?
Depends who you're talking to. I know my mom is more religious. Like, she'd probably be a 7 or 8. And my brothers would be like a 1 or 2.
Okay.
I think my dad, I don't know, maybe higher as well.
Okay. And what would you say your personal political stance is?
I'd say pretty liberal.
Okay. And what about your mom and dad?
My mom, I would say somewhere in the middle. And my dad, no, we don't talk about politics a lot, to be honest.
That's okay. No worries.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So that's all I have for the demographic questions.
Okay.
So I'd like to start off by saying that there's no time constraint on our interview, and the more in-depth answers you provide, the better. So please feel free to tell me anything you feel comfortable sharing, and remember that everything is completely confidential.
Cool.
So to start our conversation, just start off by telling me a little bit about your parents' divorce, and you can start with what you recall of their relationship before the divorce too, if you'd like.
Okay. I think before the divorce, like, I wasn't really, okay, we'll start. So, the reason they got divorced is that my dad was having an affair.
Okay.
And he had it for, I think, it's kind of weird because, like, they had almost, like, 2 divorces where they just, like, separated when my mom found out about the affair for the first time, and she were like, okay, what do we do, like, that first adapt, and they separated, and they started writing up the divorce papers and everything, but throughout that following year, they were kind of still a couple. I mean, he didn't live with us, but we were still very much a family, and they were very much a couple. And then throughout that time, he had said that he was ending the affair, and that, you know, he was going to refocus his time on our family and kind of redo that. And then it turns out a year later that he hadn't, and that he had still been having the affair. And so then at that point, my parents were technically, like, legally divorced. But at that point, we, like, cut him off. Kind of, or, like, that's when it was like, okay, they're no longer together.
Okay. So they were legally divorced before that happened, though?
Yes, they were legally divorced. So I think timeline-wise, if you want to have a timeline, it's found out about the affair New Year's Eve of 2013.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, right? And then they were together. I think they got divorced somewhere around, like, fall of that following year of 2014, and then it was spring of 2015.
Okay, so they stayed together for a while, kind of.
Yeah, they were together for probably like a year and a half-ish.
How was it during that period where they were, like, in limbo? Was it, like, normal how it was before? Were there, like, subtle differences?
Like, at the beginning it was weird because you're like, they were apart and it was, you know, this big thing. Like, my mom needs to process and that, and so then it was, and I was very against, like, my dad. Like, I was very mad at him, and so I was like, I don't really want you guys to get back together. I think it'd be stupid of my mom to get back together. Yeah. And I think you guys could grow better apart. And so at first it was a lot of resistance from me, and just like a lot of resistance from everyone as a whole. But my mom is a very forgiving person, and was like, we need to work on like being forgiving, understanding, etc. And so after a few months, it started to feel more normal with them being back together. I mean, just like doing the same things we always did and whatnot. But I mean, there was still that bit, and it's like,
did you ever express those feelings of like resentment while that was going on, or how you didn't really want them to be back together?
I mean, like, I told my mom, I was like, I think it's stupid of you to get back. I mean, he did it once, who knows if he'll do it again or what, but like, you deserve better, and I don't know why you wouldn't. Which, like, they had been married for almost 30 years, I think. Yeah. So they were together for a really long time, and like, I get that half of them not wanting to do that. I mean, they'd been living together more than they had lived apart. But I expressed that to my mom, that, like, I don't think it's smart. And then, I mean, my dad very clearly knew I was angry at him. At the beginning, I like didn't really want to talk or be with him, but like 3 days later, I had a snowmobile race, and he was the one that would drive my brother and I the snowmobile race and like be our parent for it. Yeah. And so there's like very little you can do. And I had that throughout the winter, so it was like, whether I wanted to or not, I had to interact with him. So I kind of got over it, and it was like, I'm mad at you, but like, I can't do anything about it, and like, mom's choosing to still be with you, and like, I guess I can forgive you too.
Okay, got it. So what would you say your relationship was like each parent before the divorce?
So before the divorce, like, growing up, I was definitely like a daddy's girl. Like, I did everything with my dad. I still love like hunting and like being outside, going snowmobiling, fishing, etc. And I enjoyed my mom in small doses, but a lot of the stuff she did really irritated me. Just like, she was definitely more the control. I mean, it's the like, when your mom says no, go ask your dad kind of thing. Yeah. And I didn't really like her that much. We didn't have that great of I mean, we had a pretty good relationship, but like, out of the two, I was definitely closer and more trusting with my dad, and just all around closer with my dad. Okay.
And what about after the divorce?
Yeah, so after, I'm like best friends with my mom. Our relationship changed a lot in that I feel like I had to mother her more, especially right after the divorce. And then after like the second time around, especially, it was like, she was totally torn. She was like, everyone told me I shouldn't. So I was like kind of taking that role over and like helping run the house and that. And so she's more my friend now, and it's like a really, really great relationship, but it's more of a friendship than a mother-daughter relationship.
In what ways would you say?
She doesn't have that many, I mean, it's also part of me growing older, is that she just like doesn't have any rules or anything, and even in high school she didn't really have any rules. It was just like, as long as I was telling her, and like, I was like, I'm gonna do this, like, just letting you know, and she's like, okay. And it's fine. I mean, we go do a lot of stuff together, and like a lot of activities. We love hiking, and we go on hiking trips and stuff like that. But she's not much of a disciplinary figure, and I like wouldn't go to her if I'm like super heartbroken or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things that like people like go to my mom when I'm like really upset or when that, and like, she's just like probably not the person I would go to.
Gotcha. Definitely understandable. So what was your relationship like with your siblings both before and after the divorce?
So there's 3 years between each of us. So my oldest brother and I weren't super close growing up. I mean, he was just always doing his own thing, and I was the little sister. And then the middle brother and I like kind of butt heads a lot. I mean, I was the only girl and the youngest, so I got away with everything, and I think that really irritated them. So it's like, I would push my boundaries, see what I could do and not get in trouble with, and then we've all kind of kept our own worlds. And then my oldest brother had some mental issues and had to leave college and move back home, and so from like middle school to halfway through high school, my brother was back to living with us, and so that became a lot closer with him then.